All right. Let's check the link. Age of Ultron review. Saw it last night in like chunks because my dad kept interrupting. It's kind of annoying, but whatever. It's been brought to my attention that apparently in the Volume 2 Guardians video, the volume was pretty low. I'm trying to fix that. I don't know how to, so I'm just kind of moving things around. I'm thinking about maybe making a whole new one. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Hopefully. Soon. Ish. I don't know. Okay. Spoilers. The movie franchise. Obviously. Okay. First thing. What I really liked. I saw this movie with my niece. I saw like the first half with my niece. So my mom was there. And then my niece was there too. And she's 5 now. As of right now, she's 5. And I've been teaching her about these superheroes for like as long as she's been alive. I know by the time she was already 3, she already knew like Captain America and Spider-Man for sure. So like she recognized those two like for sure. She knew those two immediately. Um, Wait, hold on. Oh yeah, she also knew. She knew who Stan Lee was too, because I taught her who Stan Lee was. Because when we saw Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, I was just Black Panther. She actually knows a lot of characters by the time she was already 3. Now she knows more. But when we saw Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, you know, Stan Lee's cameo showed up, and she was sitting right next to me, and I was like, "Baby," I call her baby all the time. Watercolor baby. Some people might wonder this. Some people might not, because when she was born, she was a baby, and when I would carry her, I'd be like, "Baby," because she was a baby. And I was like, oh, when she grows older, I'll call her like child or I don't know, teen or adult. But nah, that didn't really pan out. So I just call her baby because when I met her, she was a baby. So just baby, and she responds to baby too. So if she's like in the living room and I'll like shout out baby, she'll like just come in here. And I thought it was kind of cool because also Baby Driver came out like 2 years after she was born, and I was like, oh hey, like I call my niece baby. Like, what if she grows up to become a getaway driver for criminals? That'd be cool. Not the point though. Where was I? Oh yeah, so my niece, she was sitting right next to me when we were watching Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse, right? And Stan Lee's cameo came up, and I was like, baby, who is that? Keep in mind we're in the movie theaters, so it's quiet. I'm like, baby, who is that? And she goes, Stanley! She yells it out super loudly, like in the middle of the theater. I'm like, we're in the movie theater. Like, just like keep calm. Damn. So yeah. So obviously one of the scenes that I like the most from Age of Ultron was the opening scene where it's like the original 6 Avengers and they're fighting in like unison and it's so awesome. They're like fighting the Hydra soldiers with like Chitauri armor and stuff like that. It's so cool. It was awesome. And so my niece was there, right? And my mom was there as well too. And my mom knows like Captain America and Hulk and Iron Man and Thor, and those are the ones she knows for sure. That I know she knows for sure. And she like during the movie she would tell me to pause it, and she'd be like, "Oh, like baby, who is that?" And then she'd be like, "Oh, it's Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk." She knows 5 of the original Avengers. She doesn't know Hawkeye because I don't know why it's hard for her to learn Hawkeye. I've tried teaching her Hawkeye, but she just doesn't stick. So I've stopped and I've gone into, like Ant Man, Spider Man, Star Lord, Rocket, Groot, um, who else? Black Panther. She calls War Machine Black Iron Man, which isn't wrong, but like, why is he Black Iron Man? Is it not the point though? So yeah, I really like that scene. Any scene with Captain America really was always just a win for me because Captain America is such a great character in my opinion. I really like morals where he stands. His shield every time he like uses his shield for like battle is so cool. Also, one thing that I didn't like about this movie that like I guess kind of leaves like a sour taste in my mouth, sort of. It's just kind of like when I think about it, I don't like it, but like I kind of see it, sort of, and I guess I've kind of grown to be okay with it, I guess. The relationship with Bruce Banner and Natasha Romanoff, it doesn't make any sense to me. I didn't see it. I still don't. Nothing ever happened, like when he comes back to Earth. But I just didn't like it at all. I thought it was weird and like offsetting. Like, what are these two doing together? And something that just kind of like kept, I don't know, I guess bothering me was when Natasha would just be like, "Oh, do you think you're the only monster on the team?" And I'm like, "Yes, of course, it's the only monster on the team. You've killed a few people. So what? Everyone else on the team has killed a few people. You can't have any kids. Doesn't make you a monster, you know?" Yeah, I don't know. Like, I didn't see it, you know? And then when, I guess my mom didn't know, like, didn't pick up that they were flirting, or I guess she thought they were flirting, but didn't think much of it. But then, like, near the end, when, like, she kisses him, she was like, "Wait, she doesn't like Captain America?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "She likes Hulk instead of Captain America?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Why?" I was like, "Been asking the same question for 5 years already. I don't know, and I don't like it." Yeah, it caught me off guard. But, whatever. Another thing that also caught me off guard, but I didn't originally like, but afterwards I've actually grown to like this one. When you find out Hawkeye has a secret family and like is living on a farm. At first it caught me totally off guard. I was like, what the hell? Like, this dude has a family? Like, this dude was one of the most like irrelevant Avengers there was at the time. And he has a whole family, and like, what? But, after seeing Civil War and Endgame, Hawkeye has barely been in anything, has he? That's like, he's getting his own Disney Plus show. Well, it's not his, is it? It's Kate Bishop. Well, whatever. He's getting a Disney Plus show that he's going to be a part of. So that's going to be nice to see more of him and to see kind of his character develop properly. But, right. The fact, like, the whole farm and family thing caught me so off guard. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, it was so random and out of nowhere. I initially thought it was going to be Hawkeye and Natasha, and then that didn't work out. And I was like, because, he has a family. And I was like, what the hell? I just thought that was weird. I also like how the movie has, like, a ton of setups for, like, the future. Like, it has a setup for Thor Ragnarok, Civil War, Black Panther with Claw, the Infinity Stones. So awesome. I know a lot of people really don't like this movie. And I know that's one of the reasons they don't like. It's like, oh, it's like a trailer. It's a movie trailer for, like, for other movies that have trailers and stuff like that. I don't know. But I'm actually okay with that because, it's a movie set in a universe with other characters. Of course, you're going to see things. That's how real life is, like you hang out with like a group of friends and like when it's like someone mentions something that happened to them like when you weren't there, and later on like it comes up again. I feel like that's how, I don't know, that's how my life is. I imagine that's how it is for a lot of other people. And the fact that a lot of people don't like it because of that, I'm just going to raise it a bit. I'm a little paranoid. A lot of people that don't like that is kind of like, well, what kind of life are you living? Are you just kind of like secluded? I don't know how other people's lives work, but I don't know. I just kind of, yeah, it's setting up for other things, but isn't that how other people's lives work? So it's just, I like kind of seeing that mirror, and then you can like, oh, hey, that's, for this, and you kind of have a preview of what's going to happen in the future, and I like it. I don't know. I think it's nice. I really liked all the payoffs this movie made, like, for Endgame, especially. Oh my God, when Iron Man comes back to Earth and repeats the line that Steve Rogers said to him in the Avengers Tower. One thing I don't like about this movie, for sure, the Avengers Tower was barely in it. I love the Avengers Tower. I love the Stark Tower. I thought it was so cool. One of my other favorite scenes is when the Avengers are going back home to the Avengers Tower in New York City, and starts off with a Someone texted me. I'm sorry. It starts off with like with the what's it called, a pan up. It's not a pan up. The camera kind of like slowly moves up, and you see like the Grand Central Station with like the Heroes of New York statue with like a ton of people like that fought that helped clean up, and like other people in the Battle of New York back in 2012, and the camera slowly moves up, and you see the Avengers Tower for the second time, but for the first time clearly, and it's so cool. I love it. I even bought. I don't know if you can see it. I even bought a little mini. I think you need this, but I like showing this off. A little mini Avengers Tower. And then I bought the New York skyline. That's Empire State Building. I actually don't know the names of the other buildings. I just know Avengers Tower, and it's not even real. I don't even know the real buildings within New York City, but I know the name of a fake one. I also have this cool laser pointer. I like it. Okay. Oh yeah. So what I don't like about the movie is that the Avengers Tower wasn't in the movie that much. Stark Tower was in the first one a lot more, and by the end of the second one, well, I remember watching it the first time, and like when the movie was coming to an end, I was like, oh cool, they're gonna go back to Avengers Tower, and like, I don't know, it's gonna be like a headquarters, in New York City, like in the middle of everything, like in the comics. But no, they're in upstate New York with the new Avengers facility, and by 2017 or 2016, depending on, I have to look at the specifics. But during Homecoming, Stark sells the Avengers Tower, and it's just, oh my god, that sucks. Sorry, but yeah. Another thing that also bugged me about the movie was that Ultron looks different. In the comics, he looks like his Ultron bots, and in this one, he has more of facial. Well, that actually kind of makes sense now. I don't know. I really wanted Ultron to have kind of like that very comic book-esque look, like his Ultron bots did. Like, that's comic book Ultron. I wanted him to look like that. I feel like that he looks a lot more menacing than he did with the actual eyeballs and like he could have had like the moving mouth. I would have liked comic book Ultron, like not even the 8 arms, because at one point he makes himself 8 arms. I would have been fine with just 2 arms. He didn't need to have 8 arms, but just like like the thing with the little holes in the side. That would have been nice. Another thing. I know I said I like this movie, but there's a lot of things that I'm like taking apart. But these are just little things that like aren't really that significant. I guess it could be argued that they are. Another thing that I don't like about this movie is that Jarvis is no longer part of the, Iron Man suit. Like, I don't know. Jarvis was just so cool. I really liked Jarvis. Jesse really very intelligent system. Like, what? Like, man. Now Jarvis's Vision, which Vision is cool. Vision is awesome. I won't lie about that. I really like Vision as a character. But I also really like Jarvis. And you could argue that Jarvis is Vision, or that these two are different characters, and that Jarvis is still alive in a sense. But I don't know. I really liked him not having a body and just kind of like being everywhere and like just being super helpful with Iron Man. And that would have. Now he's gone. Now we have Friday. But I don't know what's up with Friday. Or Edith. I seriously wonder what's up with Friday now that Stark is dead. I'm sure she's still around. But man, Jarvis would have been nice to have around. It would have been nice when in Endgame, when Iron Man goes back in time to 2012 and he's in the Stark Tower. It would have been nice if like Jarvis was like, "Oh, sir, is that you?" It would have been that would have been so cool. That would have been so cool. But yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say about this movie. I like everything else. I like the ending when they're all like together fighting robots. I remember when when I would watch these movies over and over again, sometimes my brother would be there with me, and like he has a hard time remembering what happens in the movies, so he would have to watch the movie over and over again to make sure he understood it. I would watch a movie over and over again because I really liked it. So I watched a movie over and over again, and Age of Ultron was one of them. And I would always watch like the end scene, like with like I would have like this big, huge smile on my face, and I never thought he noticed because we would always kind of sit side to side, and he would be focusing on the movie, and I would just get so excited seeing like I don't know, I get really excited seeing all the Avengers team up together and like fight this evil because it's like hell yeah, like superheroes putting like their lives on the line to save like this like the young like the smaller people. That's what it's all about, you know. That's what gets me like I don't know. It just gets my adrenaline running, and so I would see the scene with like all of them fighting, and then like you see Hawkeye through his bow, you see like Captain America kind of like do the spin and like crash on robots, you know. And I remember, I think like a few weeks after that, I went on like a whole spiel about like why I like superheroes and why I like these superhero movies to my brother, and I kind of like spoke about that. And I was like, yeah, like I want to be a superhero, like I'm not a superhero. Well, yes, but more realistically, I want to help other people, like on a scale, sort of. I just want to, you know, like put other people's needs before mine. And I went on like it was this whole thing, and he was like, yeah, I always. He's like, yeah, I always wondered why you had like that big, huge, creepy smile whenever you saw these movies, and I was really concerned as to why you got this excited. But this makes sense. So that is nice. I always think about that whenever I watch Age of Ultron, and I guess that's probably why I try not to watch it that much. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's a nice sentiment. Anyways, that's all I have to say about the movie. It was good. I liked it. James Spader. Well, I heard. I mean, I wasn't there, but I heard he was really great as like Ultron, and you could tell his God. He was menacing. He was terrifying. Like just he was so tall and stuff and powerful. He's so cool. I saw him. He was in a few episodes of The Office, and he was like the voice. You could hear Ultron. I heard Ultron, and I saw like a fleshy man, and I was like, oh, that's weird. But my mom thought it was a bit boring in the middle, right during the farm scene, which I coincidentally kind of liked because you know I'm all about like humanizing the heroes, and I kind of like like what makes them tick. Just kind of I thought that's why I kind of liked the scene, even though the farm did feel like quiet. So yeah, she thought it was a bit boring just because of that. But then like near the end, she thought like it was like really good and it was different from all the other ones. She says that a lot. Yeah, she said it was like a bit different from the other ones in the sense like they destroyed an actual city. It's not broken like New York. Like they saved New York City, but it was like they had to clean it up a bit. But like Sokovia, gone. You know, so she thought that was like, oh, that's why she said it was different. Yeah. She was initially confused about Vision at first. She was like, so then who created Vision? And I was like, oh, well, like Iron Man, Hulk, Ultron, and Thor are technically his parents, I guess you could say. And so she asked, she was more still confused about him. And she was like, how was he created, And I told her that Ultron was initially going to use that body to create a better version of himself, but they uploaded Jarvis, which is why he's dead, and they put the stone in his forehead to kind of make him more powerful. And then she was like, whoa, like that's an Infinity Stone, right? And like I heard that the first time they mentioned it, and I was like, yeah, that's the Infinity Stone. And what else did she say? Oh yeah, at first she was worried because she was like, that was going to be Ultron's body. He was going to be super powerful and like they weren't going to be able to stop him. And I was like, that was going to be his body, but it's not. She was also confused about the twins. She was like, how did they get their superpowers? So I told her that Strucker used the Infinity Stone, the Mind Stone, to give them powers and stuff. And she was like, oh, okay, like that makes sense. And then when Quicksilver died, I was driving her to work today, and she was like, oh yeah, and then like the super fast guy died, but no one ever dies in these movies. And I was like, oh my, I didn't tell her, but I was like, oh my God, Mom, this is the one dude who actually does stay dead throughout the entire MCU. Who else stays dead? Vision? Oh, does Vision count? An argument could be made that Vision stayed dead or that he comes back to life. Whatever. We're not gonna get into that. Oh yeah. She also liked how Nick Fury came back. She was like, oh, like it's nice to know that he's still out there doing good, even though like he's not really seeing that much, which is funny because as I previously mentioned, last video, uh, I had just finished. Sorry, I had just finished reading Original Sin, and Nick Fury kind of plays a very critical part of the storyline. And one of the things that he's known for in the comic book is not being seen by like the rest of the world except by the Watcher. So I thought that was interesting. The minute I'm also like, oh, it's nice to know he's still out there doing good, even though like he's not really seen doing it, but the Watcher sees all. Oh, she said Ultron was a lot like parenting, in the sense where she asked me how was Ultron created, and I kind of wanted the specifics of how he wasn't technically fully created. Stark and Banner tried to create a version of Ultron like Jarvis, but it never worked out, and Ultron was just kind of like a mistake. And then she was like, oh, kind of like parenting. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And she was like, oh, it's kind of like parenting. Because I initially thought, like, giving birth to someone was a mistake, like unplanned pregnancy, which can or cannot be a mistake depending on everything. And she was like, oh, it's kind of like parenting. And I was like, what the, like, that's such a weird thing to connect to, like, creating artificial intelligence to parenting. And then she said it could be considered like parenting because you could create like a human being. You could create a human being and like, teach them all the right things to be a good person in the world. But if they misunderstand one thing, like Ultron misunderstood Tony Stark's mission, they could become like this total big jerk and like want to destroy everything, a lot like Ultron. So she said Ultron was a lot like parenting, which was like, oh my god. And then I realized today that a good handful of these movies have to do about parenting. Like, for example, all of the Iron Man movies, Thor, all of the Thor movies, the Guardians movies. So that's already, 6, 8? I guess Age of Ultron, 9. Ant-Man, definitely 10. Black Panther, 11. Homecoming, 12. Mentorship, Ant-Man the Wasp, definitely. That's 13. Infinity War, definitely. Thanos and Gamora, that's 14. Endgame, definitely. I lost count. Was like 14, 15? Whatever. It's like 15. And then you have Endgame with like Stark and Morgan. And then you have Far From Home with like, like a child kind of like navigating with like the loss of a parent, So I realized a lot of these movies have to do about parenting. And I never noticed that until my mom said that Ultron was a lot like parenting. And I was like, huh. So that's why I like talking to these movies. That's why I like talking about these movies to her. Because, she brings up things and I see new things. I'm like, oh, that's a very valid point. Oh, wow. That's actually it. She said that she said that what she said? I wrote it down, but I wrote it differently than the way she said it. Vision. I'll just go back to Vision and I'll figure it out like in the back of my head. So when Vision was born, everybody was like on the edge of whether or not they can trust him. And then he picks up the hammer and he gives it to Thor. And then she was like, oh, he lifted the hammer. And I was like, does that mean? And I'm like, yes, that means he's worthy. And I was like, oh, so he passed like their test. And I was like, yeah, he passed like, being worthy. Because none of the other Avengers could lift it. And I was like, that's right. None of the other Avengers could lift it. So I am really, really, really excited, super excited for my mom to see when Captain America can lift the hammer. I really want to see her reaction to that. And, yeah, although I feel like it could be argued that Vision was only worthy because he was just born, but I guess it has a lot to do with like mentality wise, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. It could be once again, it could be a whole argument, but I'm not going to argue with myself because that would be weird. I do that, but I just not on camera. That's weird. That is it for the video. I don't know if I mentioned this, but for Avengers Endgame, not for Far From Home, although it probably should be Far From Home, but I really want to do Endgame because Endgame is like the big movie. I honestly feel like the Marvel Cinematic Universe Infinity Saga should have ended with Endgame, and then just have Far From Home be a phase 4 opener, because now they have 2 Spider-Man movies within one Infinity Saga. Well, within one phase, because Spider-Man was part of phase 3, which I guess is kind of mirroring how Iron Man had 2 Iron Man movies in phase 1, but maybe I'm just looking into it too much. But anyways, for Avengers Endgame, I'm thinking of having like a small interview with my mom, thinking about like coming up with like questions to ask her before and after she sees the movie. Except the thing is, I'm not entirely sure what questions to ask her yet. I have like a vague idea. So if anyone can come up with like some good questions to ask her, that would be great and awesome. If not, that's fine. You don't have to. You don't have to go out of your way. Yeah, this is it. For the interview, I don't know how I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to see if I can find a way to put captions on the video, because I will be talking to her in Spanish. Because I could ask her the questions in English, but you probably won't be able to answer well in English, because it's a lot of complicated stuff. Superpowers are weird. Oh my god, so sorry. Anyways, that's it. Stay groovy, stay safe, stay awesome.